love it because I was in. Okay, I love it because I was in Dolton with the amazing leaders, so many of the organizations, and we were able to talk and have panel discussions, in April, if I'm correct. And it was May, and it was just so engaging. But I remember people, being worried and concerned that folks weren't going to come out and vote, even though during your primary you had the largest voter turnout in that district ever. And I was just like, it's always amazing how facts get hidden from people, that even organizers don't necessarily know, what the stats are, because we don't have those, access to those stats. Though, the Board of Elections keep that data. And you've got a hostile Secretary of State, then you have problems. And I actually watched your Secretary of State testify before Congress early in the year, and I was, disappointed to hear the lies that were being told. But I'm so glad that Senator Butler called him out on some of the misrepresentations about accessibility to the ballot, about early voting, et cetera. It was very, very well done. But what I wanted to, focus on is how do you counter the misinformation? How, Janice, you mentioned it, and we know it's real, right? And during our training, we talked about this, about, people being told their vote doesn't count, being told that, all kinds of lies about one lady I was reading in the paper in this congressional district was told to vote on the wrong day. She got repeated telephone calls telling her to vote on the wrong day. How did you deal with the disinformation, Eldric?
So what we did in the state of Alabama, and I'm going to speak mostly for Alabama State University, which is led by President Tyron Moore on their local chapter of the NAACP. We had a voter protection tent for the actual election day, and we had voter education classes and voter education trainings that were led by him. And on those trainings, we had over 100 people every time. There were probably about 5 trainings a week, every week after the election for about 3 months. And by the time we sent people out in the field, they had to be trained. They had to have gone through that training. When we went on the tour, when we made those stops, our volunteers had to have been trained. So we were ready for the misinformation. We told them, okay, this is where this person is supposed to vote. If they have an Alabama ID, they're able to vote in Alabama. If they don't have the Alabama ID, they need to have a Social Security number and their address of their dormitory. We had to get people trained because there was a lot of misinformation, and this was an election that we could not. Ignorance could not be the answer for this election. Ignorance could not be the answer. So we had to make sure that people were educated, and we went the extra mile to make sure they were educated.
Now, Eldric, when you're at Alabama State, is there a polling place that's on the campus as well, or did they have to go off the campus to vote?
We can vote right there in the Acadome, in the middle of our campus at Alabama State University.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And do you feel as though that made a difference with regards to folks being able to being willing and accessing a poll that was so accessible?
Yes, because you have to think about it. When people are going to universities, you have people who are coming to school from the West Coast to the South, from the North to the South, from all around. And you have to think about it. Election day is usually in the middle of a week. Let's be realistic with ourselves. If you do not live in a border state, you're probably not going home to vote. So it made it much easier for a polling place to be located on campus because you can use your university address and vote on campus. So you didn't have to go home to vote. You could vote in the state. So now we were able to, I think, if I'm not mistaken, if not multiply our campus numbers by 10 when it came to this election compared to the last, I think we had 10 times as many voters.
Wow.
That turned out in the polling place, if not more.
Wow. That's
Barbara,
amazing.
I think we're right with our movement where we're pushing college campuses to have polling places on the campus to make it more accessible and easier for the students to be able to vote.
And we want everybody to listen. There were a couple things that Eldridge said that we want to extract high information for people from. First of all, he mentioned the leadership of the president of the university. So many campuses fail because the administration doesn't put their skin into the game. Your president, what he did is just wonderful. And it's the exact opposite of some of the failing universities. And I say failing meaning when their students, only 10%. And I mean, we hear these numbers, only 30% of the student body, votes. And a lot of that, when you get down underneath those stats, is that there was no leadership whatsoever by the administration. So I wanted to emphasize that, Daryl. The second thing I wanted to emphasize was the college campus polling place. People, listen to us. No matter where you are in this country, no matter what state, I don't care, red, blue, whatever, we want you to become an advocate for making sure that there's polling sites on your campus, because we have had the problem like the poor University of Miami in Ohio. Daryl, remember they had to drive, 30 minutes to the polling place during the primary. We have to stop that. I mean, how many people, one, if you're a student, got a car, two, can find the time to go 30 minutes, three, can even get the information about where to go to vote. So our,
some freshmen, Barbara, aren't even allowed to have cars, right? Some freshmen aren't even allowed to have cars on the campus.
Exactly. I mean, exactly. And the age and all of that. And I was thinking about Molly Duffy and, and all the work she did to just make sure that people could make that big trek from the campus to the place. But we saw that in other places where we had to organize, votercades from campuses to the polling place to make sure people were able to vote. Folks, our number one priority coming out of 2024. Don't let folks be telling you that there's nothing that we can do to be winners, because we are winners and we won in so many ways and we'll keep winning. And what we need to do is start removing barriers that make it too hard for people to participate in the vote. So making sure that there is a polling place on your college campus is something that we support 100%. If you need help in doing that, if you want to reach out to TJC, just write us. Go to tjcoalition.org, write us, and we will help you with that quest. Okay, let's get back to some more questions because we have so many. Okay, you got Chris as a caller. Okay, Daryl, you want to take the caller?
Absolutely.
Yes, Chris, let us.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all the people, and you, Barbara, because I listen to your show all the time.
Oh,
and Daryl, your guest brought up an excellent point. Not only do people in some states, even where I'm from, Silver Spring, Maryland, and I voted absentee ballot because I'm disabled. But they have people going around to different sites, and one time they say it's illegal, but sometimes people, if the lines are too long,
yes,
they were asking for people for IDs, and you're not allowed to do that in Maryland.
That's right. You got it.
You're not allowed to do it, and they'll do anything. And these white folks, these Caucasians, will do anything and everything they can to discourage somebody to vote. So I urge people, the next primary, get out and vote. If you're not sure, if you don't, call 1-8, go online or go to 1-800.org. There is absolutely no excuse. And you all promote the black industry. A lot of people think just because you don't have the information, you're ignorant and stupid. That is not true.
Amen. Oh, Chris, come
Thank you
on
so
now.
much.
You have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Well, Merry
You do
Christmas
the same.
to you.
You do the
And
same.
Chris, are you on our mailing list? Do you get our
No, I'm
newsletters? Oh, sir,
No.
go to tjcoalition.org. That's our website, and sign up. We
Yeah.
want you to know what we're doing, because we do a lot, not only all around the country, but we do work here in the DMV. And we very much would love for you and others who are listening, make sure you're on our mailing list so you know about the events that we're doing, the town halls we have, all of the work we do to reach out to people around the country. And we need voices like yours to be heard. Thank you so much, Chris, for calling in.
Thank you. You have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
Yes, take care. That was awesome. Janice, one of the stories the media didn't do a good job on. Some did, but they kind of make me mad that it's gotten lost in the whole debrief of people wanting to talk about, this election was about should have been about economic populism. People were too woke. People were into identity politics. And I'm like, identity politics was, I know one candidate was running around about his beautiful white skin over and over and over at rallies, but that's not called identity politics, folks. Anyway, we got to have our own independent analysis all the time. But one stat, Janice, that I wanted you to talk about was that voter registration was up in August after the announcement in July of Harris as a candidate. Voter registration was up 175% among young Black women. Tell us, did you see that in your work? And what kind of impact do you think that had?
I think with Black women, particularly being some of the most educated and college-educated people in the country, just seeing somebody that look like us, that is not only college-educated, but also actually has the experience and the skills and the overall demeanor to make a good president, that was just something that was just so inspiring, because usually women don't typically run for office. We'll be honest with that. Women don't particularly run for office, but just seeing somebody that we can relate to, and that's something that I focused on when I did some things with another organization called Run and Start out in D.C., and the goal is just to train as many young women how to run for public office. So just seeing somebody who looked like me campaign to be in one of the highest offices in the country was just amazing. And I know just the excitement of her being younger than most presidents typically was something, because when she put in her nomination, I kind of equated just the whole process, the excitement that she was able to galvanize, the Zoom meetings, all those different things in such a short amount of time. It made me think about President Obama when I was able to vote for the first time, and just the excitement that there was around his campaign and his connection with young people, and young people actually wanting to be involved when he was running for office, and just seeing her connection with young people, it made us want to be involved, especially Black women.
Wow. That is a story that needs to be on everyone's debrief of 2024. You said so many things that were important. One, everybody, think about this: 107 days versus 8 years. 8 years. You had one candidate who built a machine over 8 years, especially in the last 4 years with election denial lies. And then you had another candidate who comes in at the 11th hour, beyond the 11th hour, and has 107 days. yet raises $1 billion, yet has this kind of impact on voter registration and voter participation.